What's going on, everyone? This is Brian Turner here with the No Stress Midwest podcast. We're in season 6, and as we're getting towards the end, this is the final episode. I thought I would save the best for last. Not only two of my good friends, but two amazing people in the soccer community. I've got Mario Wimberly, Sparkle Wimberly. How are you two doing today?
We are doing well. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. I want to thank you two for being on. I see Mario's always repping just like me with the no stress. He's got his Soul of the City shirts on. 2021, so it's a couple years old. We're gonna get so much more in depth with that. But like I said, thank you two for coming on. Just for the listeners, a little background. So Mario and Sparkle and I met here in Kansas City 3 years ago, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
They had their son Cam, Killer Cam, I like to call him, Baller, was playing with Sporting Academy. So while they were here, we were part of Black Soccer Coaches. And I was on there, and there's this guy who was from Kansas City. Then Chioma was from Kansas City. I didn't know who she was, and luckily I've had both of them as guests this season. So just keeping the circle, the soccer world, and that soccer circle small, and keeping the right people by you. These two have been such a huge supporter of me and No Stress Midwest over the years. So it was only right that I got them on. Sparkle, I know, is going to kill it because she always does. She's always giving me great advice as well. Um, Big sister advice. I wouldn't say motherly advice because we're still kind of similar in age ish. Um,
Yeah.
but Mario, Sparkle, let's get the conversation going, okay? So I want to get started off with your shirt, Soul of the Cities. Talk to me. What is it? How did it come about? What do you do? Can I get a cool shirt too? Just fill me in on everything.
Yeah, well, first of all, Brian, thanks for having us on. We love everything you're doing with No Stress Midwest and everything you're doing for the game. Much needed, and we appreciate the platform. In terms of Soul of the City, so Soul of the Cities is a youth development organization that uses a unique social currency model to teach, mentor, engage, connect, and change the narratives and the outcomes for youth, many of those who are marginalized and or economically disenfranchised. And the primary way we do this is through the game, futsal to be specific. I'm sure everyone on this listening knows about the game of futsal. If you don't, we call it accessible soccer. It's one of the things we call it. It's a smaller version of the game, founded in South America, but we found it as a great tool to build community, engage kids, and things like that. So Soul of the Cities is our nonprofit, and that's pretty much came from our club that we run that is a few years older that we founded in 2018, 17, which is TC Soul. And what that is it's a grassroots futsal organization slash academy slash family that we started really just to get our kid and his friends playing. And
Mm-hmm.
everyone took to the game. Again, futsal is a great game to play. It's tons of fun. You get 300% more touches on the ball than you do in the outdoor game. And we really love the game. TC Soul was founded on four core principles, and we use this at Everything Soul, which are community, accessibility, fun, and development. So that's a little bit about TC Soul from my perspective. Anything you want to add?
Just that TC stands for Twin Cities.
Oh yeah, sorry,
There we
Twin
go.
Cities. That's Minneapolis and St. Paul.
And I
We
was
say,
going to ask you because
yeah,
not everyone knows about the
Seven
Twin
County
Cities.
Metro. Yeah.
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 The Seven County Metro area. So we are a representative of all of the faces and the cultures here in the Twin Cities. And we like to highlight that our crest for TC Soul is actually in the state of, or in the shape of Minnesota. And that's where, in that soul, that is the relationship to the sun, but it is also just that bright and shining light. And we believe in young people, and we believe that they have that inside of them. And so we are soul, we embody soul, and you can play with soul, you can grow with soul, you can
And you've
serve with
got
soul.
soul. You've got
And
soul,
I
right?
got a lot of soul,
There
and
we
it makes
go.
me food, so it does all of the things.
Well, and you mentioned Twin Cities, right, for TC. I was telling someone this here at the office that I was explaining your company and how I was going to interview you all, and I was like, man, they had this high school, like all-star game, and they had the mayors of each of Minneapolis and St. Paul as the head coaches or as assistant coaches, which is like some crazy pull. Carl Craig, Tony Sana, like these aren't just people's names that just get casually thrown around. So mad respect. And I've told you, Mario, I think I text you anytime I meet someone from Minnesota that is involved with soccer, if I mention you or I mention the organization, they know you. So,
Nice.
you told me one time like you thought I didn't think you were big time because I keep acting so surprised, but no, I love it. And you two kind of talked about it, the why behind the creation of TC Soul and Soul of the Cities, right? Having access to the game. People that don't have it, we can go back and forth about pay to play and how it's ruining or has ruined, been very detrimental to the development of youth soccer, and especially for people that look like us trying to play. I've told you two this. I've never had a black coach before in my life. Didn't even know that. I mean, of course, I knew they were out there, but now, like, as I am a coach, I become older. I look at how important that is, and Mario, you as well, I'm sure, and especially with your two kids being that role model, so they see, hey, there is someone that's doing it, and it's my dad, it's my mom who know the game just as much as these 60, $70,000 a year coaches are getting paid. But we won't go too deep into that. I already know where we can go. Um, so you mentioned like the demographic of the players you're working with. What was, I guess, the main reason for wanting to work with the people that might not have the funds or might not have the access, or by bringing it to them? So now we're not plucking the best players out of their home environment and throwing them into an environment they're not used to.
So I am going to go back to actually some time that we were there in Kansas City, there in Brookside, and we were in the middle of a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
We had our families that were, connected to Soul. They were reaching out. They were very concerned about their kids, them being active, just all of the stress that came with people having to be separate and not being allowed to connect with each other. And being that we were out of town, we felt, what do we do? Like, what's the big move? How do
Mm-hmm.
we connect all of these kids again, in a space where we know we're going to be able to be outside? How do we make sure that everyone is a part? Because when we started digging into the research, obviously kids who live in poverty were the most affected
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
whether it was obesity, just lack of wellness, abuse. When school got pulled out of their equation, when all of the activities that they did have access to were gone, they were really left without any resources. We saw a huge rise in crime, right? Carjack, and there was youth driven crime.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we take all of those, kind of situations into consideration, it was easy to figure out who was being left out. It was the kids who typically attended public school, who did not participate in the pay to play models. We believe so much in futsal that once kids are exposed and they have an opportunity to play, they're like, I can do this. It's so fast paced. It does not require, all of the outfitting and so many other things that, that the grass space you can play in the street. And
Right.
what we
Right.
started doing was hosting community clinics, and we started doing it in non-traditional places, like in parking lots of grocery stores, in the middle of what people would call the hood,
Mm-hmm.
because we wanted to bring all the kids out to play. And so it's important to note that TC Soul and Soul of the Cities is for everyone, right? So there is no exclusion there. It is for all of the kids. And what makes that special is that for kids who typically don't have exposure to other young kids who have come from different socioeconomic backgrounds, they get a chance to connect,
Yeah.
and not just take what they hear their parents say or see on the news, or this is a bad
Or
neighborhood.
read about. Yeah.
all of that stuff gets neutralized on our turf, and people show up, and we've had amazing connection. We're seeing, clubs from clubs from private schools or private clubs and things connect with St. Paul public high schools and have
Right.
friendly, and you're talking about just a huge wealth distribution, but young people being able to connect. That puts us into spaces like workforce development. We're trying to put young people to work. We are trying to help really bridge the gap that exists, from that marginalized and disenfranchised community, and continue to propel. If you don't play, you might be interested in reffing. If you're not interested in reffing, maybe you'd like to learn to do what I do, and you come and shadow me and you volunteer. Maybe you're my volunteer coordinator. Like, there's so many different spaces. A lot of our supporters and our board members are small business owners. So we're really working on plugging them with young people so that we can continue the workforce development. So it's always much bigger than the game. We know that the game holds a key. It's been gate kept. We won't go on that tangent. We're going to stay on this track. But we are one of our models is gates open. So if you hashtag gates open, you're going to see that all of the work that we do out there in the social space, but more importantly, the ideology that everything is accessible, and we're going to do everything in our power to get access to the game for all the youth that we work with, and hopefully, I mean, our goal is to continue to compound that, not just locally, not just in the state, but nationally. We believe our Serve to Play platform is unique. It's special. It empowers young people. It puts the power of your time and your effort back into your hands. That changes communities. That changes how you see outside. You're less likely to walk over some trash or throw something out of your hand because you have a vested interest. You have found a
Yeah.
place. You're connected.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important too, you're talking about bringing players from all different sorts of demographics and wealth backgrounds together to play. And I think, Mario and I, we've talked about this is, when you're on the field, money ain't gonna protect you. If you can't play, you can't play. And I guarantee you that if it's two people that are maybe similar skilled, but one person's playing for food and to have a better life, and the other person's playing because mom and dad signed them up for it and it looks great on a college resume, I'm going to tell you which dog I'm picking in that fight, you know? And I think it's good to show that because hey, money doesn't make you anything other than more money, and you're like, it just makes you rich. It don't make you a better person, it don't make you a less of a person, a better player, and whatever. It's just something of money. But man, I've seen the richest kids get cooked on the field, the richest of the rich, you know? So Mario, anything that you want to add into that, or did Sparkle do
Yeah.
what she did best?
Well, hey,
Got that.
she covers it all. This is the talent. But just to add to that, she spoke on the cross cultural connections, and the beauty of our game is that, and we're all biased on here, but it's the beautiful game and it's the best game because it's the most popular game that's played the most places. So I think that how we see the game is using that as an advantage to build community. We've gotten so far away from that, Brian, now here with what we're doing, especially in our country. I mean, I've been to Europe and I've been to South America and observed. I would say that some of that is creeping in to other places as well. But here, America is, we have a capitalist society and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that youth sport has just turned into something now, with our pay to play model. It's too exclusionary where it's so many kids that are locked out of the game. And when I say locked out of the game, I don't mean they can't play. I mean the opportunities that come with playing this game. So what we're really trying to do is balance the scales. You mentioned earlier, we had our inaugural Stars of the City hosted by Soul of the City All-Star game that really brought the city's best boys and girls together to play. We actually turned that into a college showcase as well that had a lot of local of our local college men's and women's programs, and we plan to scale that to even more schools. But the key to that is really more access and more opportunity. like you said, you may have a young player who maybe's from an immigrant family, or a young player that's in poverty. And it's important that they be seen by these college coaches so they can get their family out of generational poverty. That's how
Right.
serious it is, as you were saying earlier. So, we don't take it lightly, the responsibility that we have to more than play the game, but to make it accessible. And then the last piece I wanted to add is a lot of this is personal for us, and especially for me, because of course I grew up playing the game. Um, and my mom didn't have a ton of resources to put behind it, but she did what she could to make sure that I could play, which was important, and I'm appreciative of that. And with that, I met a ton of people from outside of my community, people that we know now that are helping us with this initiative. So we just want to give back through the game, and so far I think we've done some great programming. That we have. Everything's accessible. Like Sparkle said, we have free clinics that we do. So it's for everyone. We have affluent communities that are involved in our summer program, our Serve to Play League, some of the most expensive and top private schools in Minnesota, and they're coming and their kids are learning about service and what they can give back. And then we also have some of our other schools that are public schools that don't really get the resources, and these kids don't play travel ball, and this is like the highlight for them. So we're very proud of what we're building here. So a lot more to do, but we're proud of what we've done so far.
Yeah. Well, and I think something I want to bring up as well, kind of on a sidebar to this. I mean, you two talked about you started this really at first for Cam and to have him, have a place for him to play, right? Um, well, and Mario, I know you've been around the game long enough and seen enough things to know that there's multiple ways to get to your final destination, and there is not you have to go through this way in order to get here, right? 1 + 1 = 2, but 3 - 1 = 2, right? And 2 × 1 = 2, so there's all these different ways we can get there. And something, been following Cameron since I've known you two, and you've had him in MLS academies, multiple, right? A few different ones. You've had him overseas. I think it was in Netherlands for some time. You had him in Germany. I feel like everywhere I look on him, it's Man City, it's him somewhere else, right? And then music. So I think that that's cool that you've seen that, and not only do you know that there's so much more out there than what people are being told, but you're actually showing, your son, but you're showing me and other people as well. Hey, this is all these opportunities. And, everything always starts with, man, I know this cat from, and then the story goes on from there with you. So it kind of ties me into my next question is, you've had so many big names attached with Soul of the Cities and that you two just know personally. Where do you feel that networking has gone well for you in these certain situations, right? I'm sure that these people didn't just, Tony Sana didn't just come and say, hey, Mario, Sparkle, I'd love to help you two. Tell me what I can do, right? It doesn't work like that. I know it doesn't work like that. So can you explain kind of how you saw that networking opportunity, or what is it that you look for when you're, trying to do that next thing? Or is it like you want to meet someone and then you're like, okay, how many degrees of separation do I know to get to them? Let me start reaching out. So just kind of talk to us about that process.
Let me go first on that, because this is the master networkers. Okay. He is top of the line, like no question, at all on that. But I want to state, so for us, we are 20+ year entrepreneurs, and when you learn that skill, that you have to be able to share and sell very, very quickly. You have to seize every opportunity to connect with people, and you have to make yourself memorable, right? So if I had to ever give a handful of directives on how to go about like connecting with people long term, is that. And then I say lastly is that unapologetic. I'm very unapologetic about how I show up and interject with people. Very much so. My dad used to say that and nobody can know any different from that. So we approach or connect, or if we're introduced to people, A, we're memorable. B, we are talented in how we engage in conversation. These are all skills that we try to teach our young people too, because
Hmm.
this
It's
is
dying. It's a dying thing with technology and
it
cell
is.
phones and all
How
that.
do you express yourself? I mean, I tell young people, you know, when we that all the time, they'll send us a DM and they'll just start talking. And I am like, stop, let's start over. Anytime
Yeah.
you extend, reach out to someone, you extend with a greeting. And so fun foundational items that technology has like kind of, you know, driven us away from.
Killed
And
it.
I'm
Yep.
old school, you know. I mean, I grew up in a Baptist church where every week I had to deliver a speech and I could not read it and I had to enunciate myself and somebody was gonna say, go ahead, baby, and I could not get lost in my lines. And
Yeah.
so that's a lot of the training that a lot of our young people don't have anymore because of how we have just moved away from a lot of the community
Yep.
building that we've necessarily had in our, you know, previously. So I say all that to say that is where um, networking is for me specifically, how we've shown up long term, why entrepreneurship is a big tie into that, because you have to be bold and you have to be convicted and you have to be unafraid. And
Hmm.
that's how we communicate that to our young people and try to model that behavior so that with, you know, if you're going to have a conversation with my son or my daughter, they're going to say, hey, how are you doing? They're
Yeah.
going to look you in the face. They're going to shake your hand. You know, I've had conversations with Cameron, and he'll say, oh, he shook my hand a little funny. Well, you only know
Yeah.
that happened because somebody taught you what you should
How to
expect.
shake your hand. Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's the take on like the etiquette part of networking. But master networker can tell you, like, I'm impressed. You know, nobody also believes this. I'm an introverted extrovert. I do fine in these moments in time, but I'm like, oh, I have to talk to this person. He's like, you can do it. Like, go ahead. Like, people like you. And I'm like, but I don't want to, you know.
Right.
But he's reminded me that this skill is something that it's a muscle. And if you don't use that muscle, you lose that muscle. So
Hmm.
he's going to tell you how he has become the master networker.
Appreciate it. No, well, I think that was well said. For me or for us, I think it's just about being our authentic selves. You know, we show up who we are. Well, this is who we are, you know. So I think being authentic, people respect that, and we look for those qualities in other people that we want to connect with. Um, and like-minded individuals. When you some of the names that you mentioned, Tony Sane, who everyone knows is a World Cup one of the greatest players in North American history. And a local guy as well. He's doing great work with his organization. So it's kind of like minds. And I think people saw what we were doing and they said, this is something I want to be a part of because it's service based. Like our organization is a service model. You know, we're introducing something new that's really trying to empower our youth. For all of us, if we fail our youth, we're all in trouble.
Hmm.
If you can't get behind that, then we're probably not aligned.
Yeah.
Now, if we can do that through the game, it's even better. So, you know, we usually we have some great connections and relationships here locally, and even I would even say beyond the local. I mean, Kansas City on the West Coast. We just got back from the coaches conference out in California, connected with some other great leaders there. So every time that we're talking about the work that we're doing with young people, I've never really heard anyone respond negatively. So
They may be apprehensive. I will say for a while we had a lot of watchers
at the
and like
beginning,
people who were kind of like, you know,
What are
and
they about to do?
that's where
Let's
I'm
see.
from San
Yeah.
Francisco. I'm from the Bay. And so I'm gonna tell you game recognized game in the all the time, you
Yeah.
know. And so we just stay true to your point, to ourselves, to our mission. You know, you can watch or you can join. Somebody is going to, like, we have such core relationships that even the people who are watchers were like, we got to get on this train.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Everyone wants to join the bandwagon after it's
well,
taken off, right?
well, not everyone. So if there are any sponsors watching, you know, we definitely this organization, like I said, it's cost-free programming. It's a lot of bootstrapping that we've done, and we have great sponsors that are helping us now. We get in-kind donations, corporate sponsorship, people helping in numerous ways, but we're always looking for, you know, anyone who's looking to help and really invest in our young people. Please reach out to us. Playwithsoul.com. or
and oh,
at
go
Soul
ahead.
of the Cities on
all
socials,
on
but
all
we could probably
platforms.
go over it on all platforms.
I'll be sure to get your website and stuff added into our description when I go to post, so
Excellent.
people can make sure they help you out with that.
Thank you.
You did bring up something though, Mario. You know, there's a coaches convention um hosted by United Soccer Coaches. This year was out in Anaheim, California, and I know a little birdie told me that just happened to be you, that you won an award there. Was it with Black Soccer Coaches? You were grassroots coach of the year. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so one, congrats. I said congrats, but I don't know if we've ever spoken and I've said it. I mean, an awesome award. Grassroots is, I mean, when you think about it, the largest group of players in the country or in the world, right? The amount of work that goes into doing it with very little reward or recognition. What does that award mean to you and to Soul of the Cities, TC Soul? How does that impact you and the organization and then the people that you support as well?
Well, first off, thank you. I appreciate that. Very honored to be recognized. I tell people that when you get into usually grassroots or any type of service thing, most people I would say are not in it to get recognized or for the award. So when you do get an award, it's just like, like the cherry on top.
A
So
little pat
uh,
on the back there.
yeah. So very, very honored is the word I would describe. But also, for those who don't know, if you look at that, it's a very esteemed panel of awardees that I was in the company of, and you can look this up. There was probably maybe 10 to 15, maybe even a little bit more, including the Hall of Famers that were recognized. I mean, Uchianye Wu, Coach Leonard Griffin, who's the Cows men's head coach, and many others who are very much deserving. So for me, it meant a lot because when I win an award, it's not me. It's not just myself. It's not just Sparkle. It's the whole community. It's all the kids that we serve in all of our
Mhm.
programs. It's TC Soul. It's Soul of the Cities. Everything Soul. Minnesota. It puts us all on the map. So I was very excited to get that. And again, coming from the grassroots space, the funny thing about it is, we all talk development, development, development. I'm a trainer, I'm a developer, I'm this, but we rarely shine a light on grassroots and all the stars on the men's side, on the women's side that we look up to. Everyone, that's where you
Started.
start.
They all started.
Grassroots.
All
That's where,
started with the big
yeah.
shin guards over the socks. You know, the ankle guards
Exactly.
connected.
Exactly. That's the foundation. So
Yeah.
I was honored that they even had the category. So
Yeah.
we're gonna keep building on it, and hopefully there's more things to come. But thanks to United Soccer Coaches, the Black Soccer Coaches, and all the good work they're doing in that organization as well.
I also want to say I dropped your name.
My name.
I
Uh-oh.
didn't. I was
Uh-oh.
I had a situation and I was like, you based in Kansas City? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, Brian? She was like, Turner. I was like, oh, well, I used to live in KC. And she was like, really? And then it was just like click, 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 click. And then
Granted,
and then
access
I
granted.
had what I needed. And we talked about, I just bought a house in downtown, 49th and lived up.
Look at
Sounds so
that.
awesome.
You're well
Love
known out there,
Casey.
man.
And so just a little plug that you're not
I
too
appreciate that.
ambiguous either, because you came through it at that particular moment.
Hey, well, there we go. I like to hear that. I'm glad it's not the bad stuff people are saying about me.
There's no bad stuff people are saying.
So, all right, you two, let's we're coming here towards the end of the podcast, right? So I feel like we've done, in my opinion, I think we've touched on Soul, we've touched on TC Soul, Soul of the Cities. Just want to get a few questions to you all, for the listeners that maybe are interested in doing what you two do. Like Sparkle, you said, maybe, well, before we even get to that, everyone that plays the game ends for them. And it's up to us to kind of decide if we stay in the game, if we don't. Sparkle, you mentioned like, okay, maybe you're not a player, so maybe you want to be a coach. Maybe you want to be an admin. Maybe you want to be in fundraising. You know, there's so many refereeing, right? There's so many ways you can stay connected to the game. And you two have touched on that, you know, quite a bit. So what advice would you give each of you give someone that maybe wants to do what it is that you specifically are doing? Sparkle, we'll have you go first, and then
Okay.
Mario can follow up.
I'm going to say that you can't do what I do, right?
Look at
The
that
best
from the
part is
Bay.
that
That's
you
from
get
the
to be
Bay.
you get to be yourself. I think that we all, again, our model is based on service, which means that we already have the power within you to impact change, to create a community, to to just decide how you want to impact your immediate world, state, local, however, right? So that on the lowest end is how you show up every day. Do you show up wanting to be a willing participant in your community? Like, are you putting your positive energy out there? Are you looking for the best that your community has to offer? I'd say as you kind of navigate through that, it is continuing or maybe linking up with an organization that shares core values that you have. Maybe that's volunteering there and really giving of yourself as you dig more into it. If you feel like there's something you still want to do, because I think everybody's like, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to start a nonprofit. That's fine. But there are a lot of people who are doing the work who are looking for like-minded people to join their mission to kind of move the game forward. I know for us specifically, as we look to like coaches, it's a huge thing to model good behavior. Like we've got Mario Wimberly, grassroots coach of the year. You know, he was also, coach of the year for competitive at one point in time. But who's coming next? Who got next? And
Mhm.
so we're focused on that modeling and mentoring. And so my question, my I guess advice would be that you find your lane and you find good role models and you connect with them and you use your time and your skill set to positively impact, and then you do the same thing. It's really like a laundry cycle. Like if we continue to pour in, develop people, they turn into the people who will do then that
Yep,
again.
do the same thing again. Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty straightforward. So I would say yes, you can find your path. I think it starts with finding what your mission is, what your core values are, how you want to show up, and staying true to that. And it's hard. People don't talk about how difficult that is.
Hmm.
And I don't want to say people, use the term sell out, but it's sometimes people got to eat, right? So
Yeah,
they
listen, everyone got to eat. They say what money isn't the most important thing, but it's right there next to oxygen.
Yeah,
You know?
it's a very interesting balance. So
Yeah.
we power through by having a lot of things in play. We all of our work is service-based work, even outside of this. I think it's Jim Rohn, right, that says that if you give people what they want, that you get what you want. And so if you lead with a servant driven mindset and heart, I think those things just kind of they reflect. So it starts with you, it ends with you. And
Yeah.
that's the beautiful part. So that would be my
That's
advice.
it. That's a mic drop. Mario, good luck.
That's hard to come
Yeah, I
behind
was
that.
gonna say good luck, bro.
That's definitely a mic drop. She had the Jim Rohn quote and everything. That's a great one. We talk
Dang.
about that all the time. But a lot what Sparkle said, but I would just hit on being an entrepreneur is about identifying a problem and solving it. And as career entrepreneurs, we've done that in other sectors, but this is the one that's dear to our hearts, and especially me being a former player, and we're seeing the things that we don't like and we feel like we have solutions. So I would say you have to believe in yourself, believe in your mission. It's going to be a ton of work. There's going to be discouraging moments, days. Failure is a part of success. I'm still learning that. I listen to podcasts every day to remind me that you're not losing. You either win or you learn, right? You don't
Mhm.
lose. You win or you learn. And I would say, Sparkle, she hinted on this as well. Finding a good mentor. That's something in my early career as an entrepreneur that I didn't do a great job of, and I learned a lot of mistakes on my own money, on my own time. So if you have like-minded individuals that are in your circle, and if they're not in your circle, expand your network.
Yeah.
Networking is huge because
Yep.
generally speaking, I believe in humanity, and most people are good people and they want to do the right thing. And it's nothing wrong with making money. I mean, we are a cost-free. Our model is set how it's set, but we do have some lower. We sell merch. We have
Yeah.
we had a coffee that was one of the highest selling coffees with one of our partners who's Dogwood Coffee. Shout out to Dogwood Coffee. Our blend was the highest selling, but we sold coffee. We sell shirts. We have some programming offerings that are lower cost. So it's really just about solving a problem, having confidence, believe in yourself, and plan your work and work your plan.
Yeah. No, I love it. I mean, you two, Sparkle, you said, find your lane, right? And I take it a step further, stay in that thing. When you find it, because there's never any traffic when you're in your own lane. It's always when you try to get into someone else's, when you try.
Right.
So I think that was really good advice. And Mario, you touched on mentorship and finding that early mentor. I feel pretty fortunate that I would consider you two both mentors of mine. And that's, something that I didn't know that I needed until I saw that it was there, and I said, Sparkle, you and I have had some really deep talks, um, just about life, about entrepreneurship stuff. Mario, we talk more frequently about more of the soccer and tactics part of it, but I can say that it's good to have good mentors, and it's always good to find good people and try to keep them around. Um, so I feel very confident with you two. I think we've got quite a future ahead. A lot of professional soccer matches to attend, both mine and Cam's. Um, so I think that's all I've got here. You two, is there anything you want to end before we wrap up the call?
Well, I was Mario touched on it, but it's a Japanese phrase. It's kami no kodomo, and it just means when you lose, don't lose the lesson. And so that's something that we are very powered by. And I just want to say that very much so we appreciate having this discussion. It has been a pleasure getting to know you and to consider you a friend and family, as we like to say,
Yeah.
and to watch your evolution as you continue to power through in your purpose, and you are doing it unafraid and unapologetic. And so just want to say that we're super proud. We're not just cheering. We are here as points of reference, points of connection. Hopefully, that North Star when the way gets a little cloudy. And that's it. So I always like to leave with a nugget when I'm offered an opportunity to close it out.
I love
And
it.
we appreciate you and how you show up as a young coach, and your time is coming.
Yes.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Well, thank you. Thank you, you two. Um, this wraps up not only our episode, but it wraps up season 6 of our podcast. So crazy that we've gotten that far into it. Mario, Sparkle, thank you so much with Soul of the Cities and TC Soul. To our listeners, thank you for sticking through another season. This one's got a ton of nuggets for you to pick and choose from. It's just up to you on what you were listening to. So I want to thank you two. Thank you to the podcast listeners. And until season 7, cheers.